Good morning, everybody. My name is Ibanitos, and welcome to Warframe in a Nutshell. Again, I'm going over the first 3 Warframes you can get in the game because it's come to my attention that I never really did a real video on them. Today we're looking at Excalibur. We previously did Mag. And Excalibur is kind of an interesting Warframe. Now, I have polarized him twice, which gave him a aura slot and the dash. What he has is 225 base armor. That's, well, not base armor, that's static armor. You don't really increase armor very much. 150 energy, which he starts out with 100 energy. 300 health, 300 shield with 0.1 sprint speed. He starts out with 150 health and 150 shield. Now, something to keep in mind. Excalibur is a fairly strong Warframe. But he also, like Titania and a couple others, has an exalted weapon. So, besides having his normal abilities, you have to pay attention to this additional thing, which also gains affinity as well, and its unique abilities to go along with it. So we're going to go ahead and look at what does Excalibur do statically by himself, no problems. I was testing a weapon yesterday, so my levels are a bit high. So these are level 30 enemies. And then we're also going to go and we're going to make some level 60 enemies. And then we'll also go ahead and make some level 100 enemies. Now the weird thing is I don't see... Ooh, something's going on here. So there's just some little 60s there. Oh, they're stacked. Gotcha. For some reason I thought they would not be stacked, but apparently they are stacked. Gotcha. Let's go ahead and kill all the enemies. We'll go back down to 30s. All the enemies are cleared, right? Okay, good. Alright, pick up. Which apparently my energy is full. How is my energy? That's weird. My energy bar does not look full, but it is full. Okay. Oh, right. It sets it down. Gotcha. Okay. So Excalibur's first ability here is slash dash. He dashes between enemies while slashing with the exalted blade. Its range is 12 meters. Its damage is 250. So this automatically hits all enemies within that 12 meters that you're dashing through. So I'm not pressing the button again. It's just doing it. So something to keep in mind with your slash and dash, you need to kind of do it with, within a line. Now, it does take modifiers from your melee counter, so something also to keep in mind about him. And it's one of those unique things that's... There's not much more to it than that. We're going to pull up Excalibur's wiki page, just so you can make sure we have all the correct information here. Okay. So if you're looking for Excalibur and his abilities, so basically the way it works is the damage of slash dash is affected by ability strength and melee combo counter and some mods. So keep it in mind. If the player has a longsword, dual sword, rapier, or nakana, slash dash receives a 10% bonus to its base damage because of his passive, which is swordsmanship. It also includes damage from the melee mods, including the Riven. So the more interesting mods you have on your melee weapon, the more powerful it becomes. So we just saw it. It was doing okay damage. Let's go ahead and grab my Reaper. Nope, not what I wanted. My Reaper, which has pure damage mods on it, and see what the different... Well, it's not a longsword. It's considered a scythe. So we want a longsword or a katana. So we'll do the Nakana Prime. See what we have it modified for. We'll do a different thing here. And this is just to test out exactly how much this can go. And anything else I can do? Bald Strike. Good. Virulent and Volcanic. Throw that on there. Beaver Strike. Buzzkill. Oof. Jagged Edge. Okay, there we go. So quite a bit of extra damage on that now. So we'll call that good. We'll respawn my enemies here, and we'll bring more of them in here, because otherwise it's a little bit lackluster. Bring in more of my Lancers. Make sure we have our 8. Usually I do 6, I know, but we're gonna bring in 8 this time. All right. Uh-oh. No, not the edge. Woo! All right. So now we have these guys. Yeah, I can substantially say that was a huge boost in damage. So yeah, the slash dash is heavily dependent on your modified weapon. There's something to keep in mind about that. Oh, that was disgustingly powerful. But normally it doesn't do all that much damage. So we'll take off our melee weapon just so we're not doing anything funky with numbers. We want to see the base numbers when people really can't modify a weapon too great because they can't. Now, as I might have missed or missed telling you about, Excalibur deals 10% increased damage and 10% faster attack speed when wielding swords. That's again katanas, rapiers, long swords, dual daggers, that kind of stuff. Or dual swords, that kind of stuff. But not daggers, not axes, not scythes. Which, if you're wondering what yours is, look at yours. If you have enough stances, your stance should tell you what it is. If it's a dual sword, or a single sword, or a long sword, etc. Now, his next ability, pretty simple, Radial Blind. It blinds enemies for a few seconds. Boom. There they go. It has a decent range. It makes them basically unable to hit him, or to fire at him. They have reduced accuracy. So that's great. And then his next ability, Radial Javelin, is pretty strong. I also believe, just to make sure here I'm right, interesting. Okay, so Radial Blind does nothing really. It does make enemies vulnerable to finishers, which is great. And and when they're blinded, they will follow the sound of gunfire. Okay, so Radial Javelin is one of those pretty strong abilities, but it does not have any special tips and tricks to go with it. So it, unlike with Slash Dash, which gains the melee mods off of your melee weapon, this one does not. It simply sends out these kind of ghostly projectiles, and as you can see, it costs a lot of energy by comparison to Slash Dash. It does a lot more damage base, and the number of javelins never goes up or down as far as I know. It's one of those abilities that used to be incredibly strong, and as time has progressed with how Warframes and other enemies have gone, it's become slightly weak. Let's try to get some more energy. Now, last but not least, we have come to his exalted weapon, the Exalted Blade. It's a channeled ability, and like all exalted weapons are a channeled ability, so it has energy per second. One of the kind of interesting things about this weapon, though, if you slide, I'm trying to remember how I did this. You can when you perform. There it is. When you perform a radial attack, when you do your Shift V and then you E for an attack, it will actually create a radial blind without having to actually cast a radial blind. So to keep that in mind, that it actually does do it has a little extra feature to it. So let's bump these enemies up to level 60, shall we? And I'll show you that this is kind of where Excalibur becomes, most people call the bread and butter, is his Exalted Blade skill. Because even just at rank 30 of a Warframe, he can fight level 60s fairly easily with no modifications made to him. And that's because his Exalted Blade has really good damage amounts, really good status, really good crit, as you were seeing. And so it's about beyond all just a really good weapon. Now, Excalibur plays primarily as a fighter tank bruiser kind of person. Running in, he needs to be a little survivable so he can get in there and do lots of damage. So we'll go ahead and equip we'll go ahead and equip a weapon. Any weapon will do, just so you know. Any katana, longsword, anyways will work. And we'll go ahead and equip the Nikana. And we're going to modify it to be a little bit more basic. So we'll go ahead and put Decisive Judgment, assuming that you have that as a mod. Or what let's do is to Tranquil Cleave. All of these are kind of hard to pick up. I know, I understand, but we're gonna have to run with something. So then we'll look at some of these things. So what do we got here? Most people have pressure points. We'll throw that on there. Most people at some point down the road will probably also get True Steel, but we won't worry about that. Reach we will worry about, and I'll explain that in a second here. And then probably we'll be running ourselves into like the North Wind and other elemental mods from there. Fever Strike, Shocking Touch, Molten Impact. These will probably be the mods that you'll be using, those ones there. Maybe Relentless Combination, but that's not super important to have. Now, the reason why you mod this weapon out as well is because your Exalted Blade always gains a 10% damage bonus from his passive, and it also gains its own bonuses from itself. But there also are some interesting ones that you can get. Oh, right, okay. There's also some interesting things that supposedly happen when you modify a melee weapon in conjunction with the Exalted Blade. So we have that one ready. So we'll go ahead and modify our Exalted Blade. We will not worry about anything else. And so we'll put on here the ones I mentioned before. We'll put on some Pressure Point. Let's see here. We'll go ahead and throw on some Organ Shatter for the extra critical damage. And True Steel for the extra crit. And the Reach for extra reach. And this we'll go ahead and put in Fever Strike and Shocking Touch for that corrosive damage. And then that and, well, Reflex Coil for the for the reduced channeling cost. Just because most people will probably do that. So just by itself, we have not modified in any way our base Excalibur. Just remember this. And as you saw, without modifying him at all, we just took out level 60s. So let's go a little higher. Let's go to level 120. So let's double that level. The terrifying thing about all of this is that this is Excalibur's power. Excalibur is a truly phenomenal swordsman, and he is incredibly powerful. Look at this. These are level 120s. I've seen people pick Excalibur as their starting frame and complain that they can't get past level 30, level 40 areas because they're not strong enough. They don't have the right mods. You don't need the right mods. You don't need to have rare mods or even uncommon mods, really. All of the mods on this weapon, they're all common, or they're a couple, and these ones are all really easy to acquire uncommons. And they are still absolutely destroying. Even at max, the max level that my enemies I can push up to would be 135. They don't stand a chance against an Excalibur with this kind of Exalted Blade. This kind of Exalted Blade, all that he needs, and from a range. Look at this. Now, a lot of people are going, well, you know, enemies don't stand still like that. Okay. Enemies don't stand still like that. That's fine. They stand still now. But you see my point? That's what normal enemies do when the radio blind affects them. They stand there and do nothing. Bosses will attack you, and I will admit to that. But this is Excalibur just with his Exalted Blade augmented, not his build. Now, if you're talking about Excalibur's build, we'll get into that now too. So Excalibur has a dash polarity, so I highly recommend to people to grab Corrosive Protection, because if you have it, it's the best thing to have for anyone, unless you have corrosive damage, which since I do have it on my Exalted weapon, I might do Loot Detect. Or I might do, let's see, where's another one? I might do Energy Siphon for that energy regeneration. Because it's no longer necessary to run Corrosive Protection if you have a weapon that deals corrosive damage. Keep that in mind. So in Madarai, I would do some Intensify, Continuity, those are my two basic ones. I would normally polarize this, or it might actually be V polarity, just use Steel Charge, drop it right on there. Let's take a look. What is his natural polarity there? If it is Steel Charge, if it is a V polarity, then go ahead and do that. So he has 3 natural polarities, a D and a V. So I'm guessing it's either these two. I think this is blank. So if this is blank, and even if it's not, just go ahead and drop that Steel Charge on there. It's going to give him more power for his 4th ability. We'll go ahead and go into this. In this, drop on that Vitality. Drop on if you have Rage. If you have Rage, you might also kind of consider doing that, like Rage or Adrenaline. Those are also 2 great things for him because he's probably going to take some damage. In the Nairmon polarity, giving yourself some flow, always a good idea. Natural talent is semi-useful, but not super useful. Otherwise, giving yourself Streamline, Stretch. Those are great ideas. Equilibrium if you have that, because it will help him stay alive a little longer. And from that point on, it's just kind of playing with whatever you want to play with. Anything beyond this is just kind of playing with what you want to play with. So I'll go ahead and put on Redirection, Steel Fiber. Ooh, I can't put Steel Fiber on? Steel Fiber then, instead of Redirection. So look at that. This is what this gives me in the end. A fairly decent, and then you can have a spot for Antitoxin, or for, something else, like Flame Repellent. Or whatever you feel like you want to throw on there. Me, I'll probably put a Gladiator Aegeus on there, because I'll have the Gladiator set. I think I actually do have Gladiator mods that I could put on here. Maybe? Aztec. Do I have any Gladiators? I thought the Gladiator was also a melee weapon thing. Huh, apparently not. Okay. So now my Excalibur is fully polarized. Ooh, whoops. I should probably go up here. Activate that. Yeah! And I know half of this is because my cat is giving me a crit buff, but... So, I want to remind people, this is a barely polarized, this is a barely formed, well, this is a 2-forma Excalibur. Granted, I'll be the first person to acknowledge that he's been formad, and that's perfectly fine. But this is an Excalibur in his prime. This is Excalibur what he can do without any modification, with full modifications, his true potential. Level 100s plus. Really is. As you can see, his weapon does insane amounts of damage. Even without a pet to buff his crit chance, it does a fantastic job. So if you are playing Excalibur and you're going, oh, well, I chose him, but I don't have the right mods for him. I'm stuck on Uranus, I'm stuck on Saturn, on Jupiter. You may not be playing him right. Because if you use his abilities correctly, which I know takes skill to do, you just practice. Practice on lower level missions. Get his skills right. Get some efficiency mods or something for his Exalted Blade. And even if you don't, even if you have no mods on him whatsoever, modify his Exalted Blade, you will have some of the easiest times clearing the star chart compared to any other frame besides maybe Mag or Volt. Because they're kind of better starters. They're people who understand mechanics a bit better. So the question is, next, where do you get Where do you get his parts? Well, you get his parts from Mars, Lieutenant Lich Krill, who is, to be fair, kind of an annoying enemy to deal with. And he does have some augments as well, an augment, I believe, for every single one of his abilities. So we'll go ahead and show you Mars and Lieutenant Lich Krill here. Oh, I was actually going to go there. So, where is it? War. So this is the enemy you need to kill. He's annoying. You have to break the pipes on his back before you can kill him. But once you've beaten him X number of times, you'll get all the parts to build Excalibur. And then you'll have Excalibur, who's a fantastic, absolutely wonderful warframe. Now, I did mention that Excalibur has augments.
Alright, what can we help you with?
And here they are. So Surging Dash is a slash dash augment. Each enemy hit during the slash dash further increases your melee count by 4. That means for every enemy hit, you get 5 melee count, which is not bad actually, especially if you have a decent combo counter upgrade, duration upgrade. It's a really effective way. And there are some ribbon mods that require you to have sustain a certain combo count, so that's also nice. It also increases its own damage fairly quickly, up to a point. Then you have Radiant Finish. Blinded enemies take 300% more finisher damage, which is nice if you're doing like some stealthy missions, if you're trying to do those finishers. That's always a good one. Furious Javelin. Each enemy hit will increase Excalibur's melee damage by 5% for 12 seconds. A lot of people run this. A lot of people run this with his Exalted Blade because it gives him additional melee damage, which makes him redonkulous. Lastly but not least, Chromatic Blade. Chromatic Blade is Exalted Blade's damage type changes depending on Excalibur's energy color, and status chances increase by 50%. So, I have enough. I should probably purchase this. I think I purchased it once before and traded it to someone. Actually, I already have 2 of them. Whoops. So, we're going to go and take one quick look at what does that mean for his Exalted Blade when it's equipped on him. So, I take off a Gladiator Geas, for example, and put on the Chromatic Blade, which is maxed out. Ba-doom. And what does this do? You won't see it here. Oh, yeah, you will. 75% status chance. It's disgusting. And then on top of that, it's going to have kind of, I believe it's going to have like a fire element because I'm doing the coppery look to it. So, or no, it's going to have ice because it's using energy. So, yeah. See, there's the kind of the ice effect you can see on it already. So, yeah. Something really important to remember about Excalibur, if you can get once you get syndicates going, get his mods, get one of them at least, Chromatic Blade, it's super worth the time. And just remember, the way that you play a Warframe is just as important as what mods you have on it. So everybody, I hope you've enjoyed watching this Excalibur video. I also want to apologize quickly to people who may have noticed that I didn't upload a video yesterday. I was a little busy and forgot to upload, so I'm going to be doing 2 uploads today. And if you have any comments, leave them in the comment section. I'll get to them as soon as I can. If you like the video, hit that like button. If you want to see more of these kind of videos, subscribe. And we'll hopefully get back to doing some more Warframe Intermediates in the next couple of days. So until then, everybody, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys all in my next video. Bye, everybody.